works the way it is. Oh, I saw the message. It just started to say we've recorded. So I guess we should say, hey, everyone watching. We're using Google instead of our usual Zoom because Zoom is going to take our images and our stuff to use for AI purposes. And as everyone who's ever watched us knows, we don't really like AI too much, unless it's usually used
I'm fine with it.
I mean, yeah, if it's usually to make funny things and stuff, but we would like permission and payment if they want to use us for AI purposes. So we'll just have to, say, more obscene things just until that time has come. So as we're saying this, I think it should be is Emmanuel coming back, right?
Well, it's saying that he can't log in now.
Okay, well, I mean, okay, we'll give him some time, but I guess, should we just say, Pat, why did you choose this film?
I actually don't know why. It was something that was I was going through different genres, and like this was probably the #1 pick I had for a musical sort of genre. It was one that I'd watched a lot as a kid, and obviously did the stage show in my school. Had a lot of fun doing the rehearsals and stuff. I just thought it'd be a nice fun film. You know, considering I think a lot of my recent picks have been quite heavy in tone, so I thought nice light-hearted one, a musical that doesn't suck. Yeah, that's basically my only thinking towards it.
So you just wanted a more happier film than what we've been having lately,
Yeah,
I guess.
I just wanted some fun. And like watching it the other night, like when you're sort of enjoying what you're watching that much, 2 hours doesn't feel like a long time.
The only thing I think I could ask is, did you get up and try to redo the dances? Did you just to get the energy to go, yeah, Grease Lightning?
Oh, you also picked there was one song that I had the most issues with when I was doing my doing our practicing, because like it was easier for like John Travolta's character and the other T-Bird, the other T-Bird guy, but the backing guys had to get the timing spot on, or the song falls apart. And this is the problem we had in our rehearsals. Every time one of us was just like a split second off, and we had to redo the whole thing. So it was probably the most emotionally taxing scene for me, as being my only acting experience as an 11-year-old.
I was going to ask when you did it actually. So
yeah, so it was
20 years ago.
Yeah, it was before I had my shoulder surgery. And when the play happened, I had my surgery done. So it wasn't like a load of hopping around or anything. It was a much more reduced role I ended up having. But like for me, the auditions, the rehearsals were probably the biggest fun that I've had. Like when some of the songs came up, I just sat there smiling. I was like, oh, I remember doing this. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I got from it.
Was it like an end of year 6 kind of thing?
This still isn't working.
Yes.
You can still see my name, can't you?
Yeah.
Basically, it's not. I even signed in with a Hotmail account. It's some workaround, and it's still, when I say switch to other account to join the call as, it refuses to join with anything but Google. And if I'm not signed in with Google, it won't even, because I have to copy the link. I can't press it in the app, or I have to do it like a secondary action to get it to open in Safari, but not by clicking on it and then sharing it to Safari. Or I have to or I have to paste it in the notes app and open it from there or somewhere
I mean,
else. Because
I mean,
Messenger gets in the way and sends
I
me to
can
the App Store.
What the hell?
I can only ask if you got Google Chrome on the app on your phone.
Yes.
Oh,
I
then I
have
have then I have no idea, mate. I can't do if that doesn't work on that one. Well, Robert started recording and he says he'll try to edit our names out afterwards. So I guess that's the only thing I can say for you, man.
That's okay. I just
It's lame that they don't have that option to be able to change your if it has your nickname in the settings when you go on your Google main account. You can have your real name, your nickname, what you'd be preferred to as. But you can't change your preference to just your nickname, which makes zero sense.
yeah, they changed that a while ago. I'll have to what I used to do before, what I have to do is change my name on my Google account to just
Yeah.
my nickname and don't have my actual name in. It's
Yeah,
annoying. I shouldn't have to do that, but whatever. You can carry on.
Okay, so I think Pat gave his intro. I don't know how good is your connection, Manuel. Do you want to do your like quick introduction of why you found what you liked about the film? Well,
My
Rob
connection's
puts his
fine,
feet away.
but-
Christ, I think it's magnified because it's on Chrome. Why do you keep doing this? I get why Manuel. Oh, dude, don't do that.
What is he doing?
He's putting his feet near the camera. I mean, this is not being live streamed, but you gotta edit that out afterwards. Christ,
Onlyfeeds.com.
you'd make a lot of money if you made that website.
Yeah, only
Saying that
fans.
I think it's somebody he knows sells pictures of his elbow online.
What?
Yeah, there's a market for anything.
I don't know.
It's
But
so
people want to pay
weird.
for it. That's the mad thing.
Okay, now it's displays my name as Palmerique. Anyway. Sorry, I'm meant to be talking. What
Yeah,
does
go on.
my name say now?
It's got your full name, but then it in brackets it says Palmer. Palmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave. I'll give my introduction in a bit. Don't worry.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
Okay. I'll go first then. Okay. So I haven't watched it in the longest of
I
times.
thought you were
right?
just going to stop there.
No,
I didn't watch it. I don't want to watch this.
no. I just haven't watched it for the longest of times. I did. It's one of those films that you can watch and go, "Oh wait, it's back," and it's just this just your it's your nickname.
I
Okay,
changed it, but I had to log out and log back in. But anyway, to carry on. It just causes more issues other places. Some stuff.
so anyways, I like this film. I haven't watched it in a long time. As an adult, watching it from like when you were a teenager, you realize the incredibly toxic and terrible things that have happened during that time and the way that they the people acted. But you realize, oh wait, it was the 50s, and unfortunately, a lot of bad shit happened that was considered the norm during that time. And it's like, ugh. But it makes sense also because, oh wait a second, the teenagers, and it's like, right, that's just like, all right, it also
Very
makes
older
sense.
than the teenagers, but teenagers nonetheless.
Yeah, but like but it's like teenagers in the 50s were about the same as the teenagers now, to be honest. Actually, well, I mean, it's something like they do stupid things as teenagers do, and they do. Yeah, I mean, all the story points kind of generally make sense because of the time period and their age. So yeah, and like with that, they have like just I'm just saying generally, it generally makes sense because they do stupid things as people who are in their teens usually may or may not do. But generally speaking, it's quite nice. It was quite nicely made. I think like the production value for Grease is quite well. I mean, with like the dancing and like all the stuff. It's like it still keeps up. It still keeps up with like modern day stuff. It wasn't exactly the best made film, but it's nice enough. And like, I think you can give credit where it's due, because if it's nice enough during that period of time, it was probably very good for that period of time. I guess it's the best way to say it. So it's like I generally liked it, and I think that's the best way to like as an intro to it. Yeah,
I think was it me or Ben who had the lowest score this week?
Ben, I think.
Oh, was you?
It wasn't Alec, which is shocking.
Yeah, Alec actually. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pat. I ended up talking him down a little bit. Because yeah, I do like it. I mean, I did have fun watching it, but I just don't think it makes any sense. Because the main thing for me is Danny's character. Like, I'm not really sure. I don't understand the motivations behind his actions, right? Because so you have like the bit at the start, like the little like prelude bit where he meets Sandy and whatever, which already I was raising an eyebrow, but I was kind of like, okay, this is heightened, like I'll let it go. It, like when she's like, oh, I'm gonna like this is the last time we're ever gonna see each other, and then like next week she's at his school. I was kind of going, this is a big life, like this is a big life choice to make. Like her parents did not make this lightly. I don't know how the turnaround has been so quick on this one, and because the turnaround is so quick, I thought Danny's character would have made so much more sense if the reason he was acting so strangely was because he was anxious that she was going to leave again. But it's never mentioned. It's just like, oh, you were going, I was never going to see you again, and now you're at my school. And then, so it starts with him being an arsehole, which I thought was straight out of the In-Betweeners, by the way. Like that scene where she turns up, and he's like, oh, Sandy, I can't believe you're here. And then he looks back at his mates, and he's like, you dickhead. Like, I was like, man.
Okay, I feel like I have, oh no, actually, no. Finish your points before I argue your points. Okay, no, you just your intro. Innit? I have a lot of talk. I will talk to you about that in just a second.
So yeah, I haven't actually got any problem with that, right? So that's all fine. Like him sort of acting up in front of his mates, I was like, yeah, whatever, because he's a teenager and like he's obviously like conscious about his appearance and that kind of thing. So that was fine. But it's the how he acts after that I thought made no sense, because it's like the only reason he has to win her back was because he was acting up in front of in front of his mates. But then he starts joining all these sports teams, and he starts like doing all these really weird things. And it's like, wait, you were the guy who was like scared to admit that you liked her in front of your mates, and now you're making this like massive public show of yourself to win her back when all you had to do was not be a knobhead in the first place. Like, I didn't understand like what the motivation behind him trying to win her back was, when the motivation behind him losing her was that he didn't want to lose face in front of his mates, and now he's doing all this stuff that's going to make him lose face. Like it didn't add up. And I thought if there was like a layer of anxiety that she was going to leave again because last week she was about to go back to Australia and he was never going to see her again, like that would have made more sense. But it's literally just, yeah, I was leaving, now I'm not. Let's not talk about it ever again. And it's like, well, you could have.
First off, I feel like you guys talk about all of his teenage angst and stuff, but I feel like no, actually no. Wait, let everyone do their intros before I like try to break it down. I think I have the best way to explain it. But Ben, how about you? How would you intro this?
Sorry, before that, hear the TV in my background.
A little bit.
Yeah, not
Really
much.
muted, but I mean, you're not as clear as the rest of us, audio-wise.
It's all right. I'll move into another room in a minute.
But I don't hear any background noise. So.
I'll just give my quick thing, so I don't hold stuff up because I need to move. What you call it? I don't think I have the same issues as Rob. because I think it, I mean there's some things there are some things about the movie that don't make any sense, but there's separate things which we'll get onto. But it was like 50%. Oh, cool. 50%. What is going on? That was my experience basically. Something. I was just like, yeah, it's just like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good number. This is da, da, da. And then it'll be like, wait, what is this? What? What's happening? Okay. So yeah, I was back and forth of just like, yeah, what's going on? But I think I expected more. And I was just like, oh, I guess it's okay. I think I expected it to be amazing, but I think maybe personally, it's just certain things that uh, didn't jive.
Wait, were
But
you
yeah,
expecting more from like the story or for like the characters?
just the whole movie in general. I think I was expecting something that seemed a bit more coherent. It was some parts of the movie were just too chaotic and not like controlled chaos, just chaos. Like I don't know what was happening with the writing sometimes. I was so confused. It's like there's some parts it's like, oh, this makes complete sense. I can get where they're coming from. I get why they did put this in here. And then you have just some random thing. I'm thinking, wait, what's happening? Wait, how much time has passed? This is wait, what? Wait, why is how is this cut? This what's going on? And then it just go back to like all kind of cool and structured and all great. And I'll be like, I don't know how this film was put together, but it was definitely a ride.
Oh, and he's cut off. Okay. I mean, yeah, that was certainly a ride, I guess. Yeah.
Just waiting for Ben now, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
I was just wondering if Emmanuel had anything else to say, but I think he's just off completely. But yeah, go on, Ben. Go on, just jump in.
I liked it more than the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Don't worry
Yes, everyone probably liked this more than the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Come on now.
It's a better film.
Dan would probably like this more than Rocky Horror Picture Show.
But it's not my favorite musical, but I can see why Pat loves it and why so many people love it, because it's just, I think one of the strengths about it is how good the songs are and how catchy they are and how well they stand up to the test of time. And they kind of, the best thing about it is that the songs work outside of the film, but they work just as well inside it too, because they kind of tell the story and tell the emotions of what the characters are going through even better than the scenes where they're not singing or dancing. And I think that's really the strength of the film. I don't think the story, like Rob says, the story is a bit like what, and a bit like a bit of a head trip, and it doesn't quite know what kind of story it wants to tell, and I'm not sure where we're going, but it's a fun ride, but at times it's a bit like, and it also suffers from the problem is like you got these 25 to 30-year-old actors playing teenagers when they're supposed to be 16-year-olds, and that you kind of have to be like immediately have to put the logic aside and just go with it as this little weird strange world kind of fantasy that's very different from ours. But if you can accept that, it works. Like if you can accept the car flying in at the end.
I mean, Ben, I think nowadays it's still 25-year-olds playing 16-year-olds. I don't think that's changed in Hollywood at all.
That's definitely not true. However, but nowadays they don't look like that. At least not in the most part. I think there were still dangers of that in the 90s. Like even with like Sabrina the Teenage Witch or some sort of like high school thing. Buffy, for example, they all didn't really look like teenagers, but you just kind of had to accept it. And yeah, you get better actors when they're not that young too. It's only things like Stranger Things where you're accustomed to them.
Yeah, but like I was gonna say, Stranger Things is probably like one exception because them lot were like they look so babyish in like especially the kid with like the missing teeth, and I was like, it looks adorable, but it's like I don't know, it's just like I guess I think also because it's like with like film unions and like trade stuff, you probably couldn't get kids in the film industry like that because that would be like
there was a lot of
like age.
I was going to say there are a lot of ramifications, so that when one of us eventually picks Wizard of Oz, there's going to be a lot of interesting talk about that film when they got poor Judy Garland, who was like 16 at the time, doing this and that and working like god awful hours, cracked up on like
asbestos.
The Wizard of Oz is one thing. I was thinking like for TV shows with like Family Matters on like all them and like the Brady Bunch and them lot, because all those kids were like those were actual kids, but unfortunately like, they had horrendous work hours considering for those times. But it's better nowadays because of the union. But it's like it's
a lot more rules things.
But it's like it seemed it was quite horrendous going through that. But yeah, but the Wizard of Oz one was definitely the worst. Yes, asbestos. No, it's just like I just can't imagine.
Yeah, I do think though with Grease, you kind of. Although I made a joke of it, they are kind of at a disadvantage already because me and Rachel were watching it, going, "Could they not have got younger people to play these teenagers?"
Well, it was his film anyway, because that's the whole point. He was the main star, and I think he helped like produce it as well, didn't he? Or is it like, because it's.
Well, that was the thing. Like we were kind of going, like, could you have not have found like younger people? But then we looked up how old John Travolta was, and he was only 22. I was like,
what? Oh wow! Okay.
I think that's a good point because I think I've talked to my mum and dad before. It's like in a lot of old films of the 50s and 60s, I would always be like, why does everyone look so old? And it's like mum was like, well, everyone looked older then compared to how they look now. So someone in their 30s would look probably 50, and someone in their 50s would look like 90 or something like that. But nowadays, because everyone dresses like really casual and it's not as smart as anymore, then people's hair are generally better. Like people take better care of how their appearance is now, so everyone is perceived to look younger or look the age they're supposed to be. And the other way around, where back in the day everyone dressed up and kind of wanted to be older, and because that was a maturity was a sign of like attractiveness and intelligence and stuff, so that's why it was the way it was. But and so Hollywood reflected that, and therefore the films, everyone looked old.
I also would probably say because the quality of like the film and the graininess, everyone just kind of looked a bit more aged anyway because of the probably equipment they used. Because no, I mean, I'm joking, but I'm like semi-serious because like with cameras nowadays, because everything is so high definition, you can tell like the sort of like, and with the skills of people who do the makeup and stuff, you can tell like they're like all that stuff is like they can make them look younger, they can make them look aged and stuff, but because it's in such detail without that weird sort of like graininess, I guess. So it's like, oh, you can, they look more normal without their like extreme like half a tub of makeup blusher that they have on their faces on like in this movie.
Which
so it's like,
you might say is Grease.
No, I would not say that it's Grease. The hair was Grease, not the fucking. God damn it, Ben! Damn it!
But yeah.
Oh wait. Oh, the captions actually blurred my saying "fuck."
Oh, did it?
Oh, it's blurred it again.
Wait, really? I missed that.
Motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, it does.
What a crock of shit.
Okay. So we're playing too much with the captions, and I saw Emmanuel was playing a lot with his emotions. Yeah, I see you. So you're flashing on me. Goes, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would like to play with emotions.
Wait, what? Okay, but yeah, it's what was I saying? Yeah, everything that's happened in this film is because of like the time period they were saying, and like the way that the time period was saying, and their actions are kind of like products of their time. I would argue with Rob the way that the reason why he has to act like an arsehole in front of Sandy is because that's the way he was brought up. Showing I mean, it's because it's mainly you can see it later when he's about to do the race. Oh no, before he starts the race, and he's with his friend is, I keep forgetting how it's pronounced. It's
Kaneki.
Kaneki, that's it. He's Kaneki, and he gives him a hug. He's like, "Yeah, man, thanks." But he also sees the guys, and he's like, "Yeah, cool." It's almost the point of like, "Yeah, no homo. No." It's like, that's not. It's like it's.
To be fair, I think that's how people were like in school, even at points when we were at school. So it's only a recent thing that it's changed.
No, I don't know if it has changed, to be fair. Like, I don't have a problem with him like acting up in front of his friends. Like, I think that's completely fine. But
yeah,
I don't understand his character, because he's obviously someone who cares what people think of him, and he's obviously got this kind of like ego to think that he has to treat Sandy a certain way in front of his friends. Like, all of that stuff's fine, but I don't understand why it goes from that to him trying to be an athlete and showing himself up like again and again to win her back. When it was
I get that. I think that is a problem with it. If it was much more of a serious film, I know I'm probably doing the musical genre a disservice for people that enjoy it, but I feel like if it was a much more serious film, then you could probably it could have done with an extra scene or two, to sort of get from why Danny was this way, and then how he got to be jealous of the jock. So he just tried to be one himself. Well, he behaved like one. He just wasn't one. I think
he was just a greaser. I think that's he was the whole point of it is like he was like lone wolf greaser type. Yeah.
This is partly why I rated the story so low, because I think all you needed to do to fix Danny's character and also give it a bit more depth in terms of her leaving and then coming back, it's just like have a little thread in it where Danny's anxious that she's going to leave again, because that would be totally reasonable. Like, why would you not be anxious that she was going to leave again when last week her parents were moving back to Australia and now suddenly they're not? Like, it doesn't make sense to not be anxious about that.
Yeah.
They make him anxious about it. That explains why his behaviour is so weird and why he's all over the place. And it also gives a bit more depth to why she left and then came back, because otherwise it's just something that happens and then is never mentioned again.
This seems to be a problem with any musical I like. Probably why I like them. So they seem to. I don't even know if they see the problem in it, but you can see the glaring storytelling problem. Like the basis for the story's there, but there's like a chunk missing from it. And I feel like the filmmakers must think, right, if we answer a question there, then it might disjoint what we're trying to do. They might have to put in a song that they haven't written for it, stuff like that. Because from what I'm aware of this film, the songs were already written, and then the story was written around the music.
That would make sense, because Barry Gibb wrote the music, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a big part of the production for it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's probably the only thing I can think of. But going to the music part of it, like the reason why I like this so much compared to like a lot of musicals is it makes sense. Like, I mean, I sit down and watch Les Miserables and they're just singing about nothing. Like, fucking the songs. the songs just appear, and I'm like, what's the reasoning for this? Like, where with Grease and a few others, it's sort of, you're having that bit of story, and then you kind of know where the song's going to come in. You just know when the cue's coming. So I feel like that's what sort of sets this apart. Why I sort of take to this a lot more. Even something as sort of very cheesy and not half as good, being like Mamma Mia, or even the one we had before that everyone loves so much, The Greatest Showman.
Oh,
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to say that. I was so waiting for you to say that.
They're all really cheesy musicals that I really like, but they all follow the same sort of path. Like, it's not just song in there for no reason. There's an actual cue for it, like in terms of the storytelling, which is what I quite like about it. The story in this is very vanilla, and I did give it 8 for story at first. And then I thought about the ending, and even I was like, "What the fuck?"
I completely forgot that was the ending.
I know it's a nonsense film that's just there for fun, but I mean, this is a bit much.
I mean,
like, sorry.
No. I mean, like, I was just gonna say. I mean, like, I think that might, because I think this song. No, was it not also a play as well when it was done? Because I think like the script for it seems a bit like it ends off with him flying off in the car. But I feel like
I can confirm it is a play. I was in it.
But was it a play at the same time or before the film? Is what I'm saying.
Yes,
I don't know.
I think it came after. I think the film was the production they've all made first, and then it became a stage show, and then.
Okay.
I don't even know if they still have it as a stage show.
Say that again.
I don't even know the stage show is still running.
Oh no, it's running right now with
really?
Peter Andre or someone in it.
Oh, I ain't fucking seeing that then.
No, it looks awful.
Peter Andre is the guy who comes and sings about the beauty school dropout.
I fucking love. Okay,
that
is the reason why my name is Donny Osmond, because I had a Mandela effect about it. And I was
Donny Osmond.
Yeah, I thought it was Donny Osmond. But the worst part is when I did my research on it, because I was like, oh wait, that is not Donny Osmond. I looked at it and I was like, oh, it was supposed to be Elvis, but obviously passed away. Oh, it was supposed to be Donny Osmond, but it just I guess he said no, and I was like, so I Mandela effect myself for a thing that didn't happen but could have happened, and this was like. Just like it just went, I don't know. When I watched it as a kid, I thought it was Donny Osmond. Still now, I kind of thought it was Donny Osmond, but I was like, I guess not. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because like I don't know, when I was watching it, me and Rachel were talking about Olivia Newton-John, because I don't think I've ever seen like another film that she's been in. So I looked at her filmography and whatever, and I didn't realise that she was like a huge soap star. But then
most Australian actors had big soap careers.
Yeah, I didn't realise Margot Robbie did either.
Yeah, wasn't she in Neighbours or something like that?
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. I used to watch that quite a lot when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah, I think I watched a bit of it as well. I always thought she kind of looked familiar.
We've actually had quite a few Australian soap stars then, because we've had Kylie Minogue as well.
Well, I mean, okay, that's a bit different though, because with Kylie Minogue, she was definitely more famous for being pop star than soap star, to be honest.
Oh yeah, but would she have been a pop star if she wasn't a soap star?
Yes.
But she was in Home and Away or whatever it was first.
Yeah, I think that's how they all get their break. Whether it's there's even been athletes in it.
Athletes?
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Shane Warne was in one of them as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, like as a guest star or something. But athletes have even been in them.
That's interesting.
Yes. Now the question is, was Hugh Jackman in Neighbours Home and Away just to see it.
It wasn't
Yeah.
something. I can't remember.
I mean, could you imagine you just see a little like teenage Hugh Jackman just in there? It's like I'd be like, it's like that Leo pointing meme. It's like he's got the can. It's like, and it'll be just it'll be amazing. But I don't think that's how that works.
But yeah, no. Once I saw that Olivia Newton-John was like a huge soap star, I was like, okay, this all kind of makes sense now, because this story is effectively like a musical soap, because it's just kind of like that. Well, yeah, you can just imagine it turning up in sort of Home and Away or Neighbours or whatever, because it's literally just like a very sort of simple, like, here's two characters who are gonna have everything work out for them at the end, and we're just gonna have like an hour and a half of like a comforting bit of sort of nothing too catastrophic going on. Just like they get the ump with one another and then everything's fine. It's like it's very much that kind of like soap temperament.
I mean,
Hugh Jackman wasn't in any soap.
Oh,
okay,
really?
that's fine.
Shane Warne was in Neighbours.
Neighbours.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I fucking knew he was in it. I remember seeing him in it.
Yeah. But to answer your answer to talk about what Rob was just talking about a second ago, I think it's required because you need a film with a bit of drama, or it's not a good film. Because if everything goes a bit too easily and lovey-dovey, it becomes just be like a bit plain, if you know what I mean. And without the drama of him like not upsetting Sandy first and thinking about I've got to try and win her back, then afterwards upsetting her again with the dance, then him trying to win her back and like with the ring and the film, but then afterwards him upsetting her at the driving cinema, then afterwards winning her. You know, it just goes up and down and up and down, but it's a bit required for like a bit of drama.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not against like the up and down nature of it. I just wish Danny made more sense and I understood why he was doing the things he was doing, rather than doing things that were contradicting the character that he was supposed to be.
I mean, like for that, I would just say he's a teenager. He's a stupid teenage, horny teenager. I was like, oh no, I don't know how to explain more that stupid teenagers do stupid things.
But I feel like if the whole idea is that he doesn't have a character because he's a teenager, it's like, well, what's the point?
No, his character is the character is the teenager. So his character is his teenage. Is being his teenage self. I guess is the.
No, but what I'm saying is that like the things that he's doing is always like contradicting the character that they've built. So like they've built this guy who's got this massive ego, who cares what people think, and he wants to like show off in front of his mates, and that's what stops him from showing like his true self to Sandy. And then he goes through like this big kind of like performance where he's like deliberately showing himself up, and it's like, but if you were willing to do that, then that negates what you did earlier. So now I don't know what your character is.
I mean, I guess that you could chalk that up to quite simply character development of a teenage boy. And it's like, I know that sounds a bit like a cop-out in itself, but it's like, I guess he could learn to grow up about it. And like, it's his senior year, he's got to find something for him to do without just being a guy who just, you know, greases his hair. And it's just like, I got to find some, I guess he found something to do, and Sandy was his motivation to do that thing. And because like,
I don't know if they tell that story though.
I mean, she kind of does, because she's like, because essentially the reason why he decided to be like to do the sports stuff is because he saw Sandy with the other jock in the ice cream place, and she's like, "What do you do, huh? What exactly have you done? Show me you can do something better." I think essentially that's like, I mean, this is very like abridged of what she says, but she does say something along the lines along the line, and that's the one he went to the coach with the cigarette. He's like, yeah, I want to do something, yeah, and the coach is like, first, how about keep it to a pack a day? Yeah, okay. It's like, and it goes on from there. But he learned. He tried to learn for her, and I guess that's still. I feel like that's still considered character development. You know what I mean? I mean, you could say it contradicts what he used to do, but it's like he's trying to better himself because for sake of Sandy. So like, you know, he's trying, and I think the effort of him trying and learning it, because after a while he did all the sports, he hated everything except for like the running, and running is like, you know, actually I mean, it's called what's the name of that particular sports that he was doing? It's still cross country, right? So I mean, that's an actual like Olympic sport as well. So it's like something is actually improved to do, and I'm thinking if he did that for her, I think that's quite nice. I think that's his character development for generally the whole movie. It took him a while. It took him like into like the third act to actually get into the running, I guess. But it's just like it gets there, and because it gets there, it's like, yeah, makes sense. It helps build up his like character.
But even then, I'm not sure that's totally consistent with the end, because you've gone through this whole thing where like she's being teased for being a Sandra Dee and whatever, and then the whole thing where she's like, oh, I'm gonna stop being this person who I get teased to be and all of that kind of stuff, and then it sort of amounts to her just wearing leather. she turns up in leather. And even then, she's asking the others how to act and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't know, like you've had this thing where you've had a song about how you're gonna step away from being this person who you don't want to be anymore. But then the person who you're trying to be now is someone who you're obviously not comfortable with at all. And then that's the big ending where Danny goes like, oh yeah, this is great, and then they like fly off together, and it's like, so what? what was the development?
Oh, well, I mean, no, it's still him developing. Like, yeah, I've got the Letterman, like, cardigan, try to be better for her, you know. And afterwards, you know, it's the last day of school. Then she just turns up like a greaser. He's like, well, fucking damn. And it's just like, well, I mean, like, it's kind of like, I get it, but she I don't think she's really. Oh, I mean, then again, it was like the ending scene, so it's kind of like it was just like to tease him, I guess, or to catch his attention, to be like, you know, I could be as cool as your other greaser chicks. Yeah, I feel like it's and it's, but she still needed help from the pink ladies because she had a cigarette. And she was like, oh, I can throw it for and step on it. Yeah. I don't know, because I can't just imagine it.
After watching this, now you can't say that Tyrese and Ludacris going into space in Fast and Furious was out of the realm's possibility.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because, you know, he gave her the ring. And she put it on her finger. So then it really was about family.
Elbows are in the space.
Sorry. I'm trying to keep a straight face. I'm sorry. I'm really trying to keep a straight face. Sorry.
Familia.
But yeah, no, I think that's like the crux of the issues for me, because it's like you've got all of this you've got all this tension between the two of them, but none of it's really meaningful, I guess. Whereas the whole thing about her like leaving for good and then all of a sudden being at his school, I'm like, well, that's quite an interesting idea, but it's just something that I don't know. It happens for the sake of the prelude, and then it's never brought up again. Like, all you really get out of it is that initial scene where he's like, Sandy, oh no, wait, hang on, you're enough. I guess. And then it's just like, yeah, Sandy's around now. Nobody has to worry about how she might not be around again.
I mean, yes, I mean, like, it was just said that he thought he would never see her again. but then afterwards she found out that her job, no, not her job, her dad found a job in the States and she was staying. But I guess it's kind of like it wasn't emphasized on. But then again, unless you want a 3-minute song about here's some backstory, listen to the backstory, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like that's not.
I don't think you needed a song about it. I literally just think you needed Danny to have a trait where he's a bit anxious about her leaving again, and it would have been such a better film.
But that would actually be against his character, because his character is still supposed to be, yeah, cool, yeah. But it's like, I don't know.
Portray that and like still have that going on underneath it, and then that explains why he's acting so weirdly.
Well, I feel like that's done for. I feel okay. This is a conversation I want, because like that's done for multiple parts of this in the story as well. Because there was who's the other girl that was at the dance? Cha-Cha is what I want to say. Danny and Cha-Cha have a backstory, but that was never explained in the movie. I feel like, because like unless you have a inner monologues, like sort of like scene or like a thing, it's a lot of there's like a couple points of the movie that's not explained. So I get where you're coming from, Rob, but I don't think during that time they cared about it too much, because obviously him and Cha-Cha have a history. That's when he saw her, and it was like, yeah. It's like a try to like avoid eye contact, but it's kind of a thing for it, and it's like, I don't know. It's like it could be explained. It just isn't, because it's just isn't. And like, I don't know. I can't say that. I can't say why, because maybe it's just they didn't think about it at the time. Or maybe it's not like in the story. I don't know.
It does feel like an oversight. Like I think it's deliberately designed to be like quite a simple film that you can just sort of like pick up and get along with, and like you can kind of like you can switch off a little bit and just sort of vibe to the music. Really, I think that's what they were going for. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a little bit of depth to Danny would have like solved everything that I was going like, this doesn't make sense. Like every time I was like, this doesn't make sense, it was because Danny didn't have a little bit more depth.
Can't argue with that, because that's kind of true. I mean, actually, we need to get everyone else's opinions. What? How about you three, who's been quiet? I think me and Rob have been talking a lot. You three, what are your opinions on how Danny is as a person?
He seems like a cool guy.
That's what you want you to think. You've been fooled.
I suppose you could say he's kind of easily led by the crowd he's in, and that could easily be said for both of them. But what I found interesting is that both the guys and the girls were both kind of like, you think this just the what they're called what is his sorry, my mind's gone. But basically, you'd think the guys would be the ones that would be the most brash and stupid and reckless and like immature, but the girls are just as bad in their own way. So I thought that was a good dynamic, that both characters are kind of like being passed around and trying to be a part of those certain circles, even if they don't quite belong, they kind of do at the same time. And so they kind of, it's trying to do the West Side Story thing with Romeo and Juliet, kind of star-crossed lovers that are trying to think they're meant to be but aren't. But it doesn't quite work as well, because the characters aren't as in depth as that. I don't have as much depth, but it's still good because it's probably very relatable, like it would have been for many people who grew up in the 50s. That's why I like films like American Graffiti and ones like that are so good, because it just does the realism of that era. And I suppose it tries to channel a lot of that, which is like the main appeal for that for Grease, because it has that nostalgia. of that time period when things are more simple in a way. So that I liked, even if I can't get my head around the end goal of the story and what kind of story it was trying to tell. That's the problem. I can't quite get my head around that. Well,
The story was wherever.
the story was risky, but it was a good kind of issue.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I mean, you are right about the nostalgia. I think that's like a lot of why it's so popular, and it's almost like it's done like a bit of a meta thing now as well. Because I think where it would have had that nostalgia for like the generation before ours, the generation before ours showing us it has now created like another layer of nostalgia to it, which is why it's probably so enjoyable for us now. Like even like the opening sequence, I was like, man, this is great. Although they did Rizzo really dirty with her cartoon in that sequence.
She looked
Yeah,
fine
she
for
looked-
one moment, and then took the close up.
Yeah.
She's a monster.
Just like a,
Yes, but that was one of the best parts was the opening credits because it's kind of like, oh, I didn't know they started with this. That's pretty cool. And the song choice and everything, and just how the characters sort of like doing the thing, and it just faded into the score. That was clever.
yeah. No, I really like that whole thing. Like even like the song as well. I didn't realize that was Frankie Valli. You could have done a double bill with Jersey Boys, Pat.
Pat, you're muted. What did you say?
He burped. We will never know. It was leading up to something.
Yeah, Pat, you're muted. I can't hear. We couldn't hear what you said.
I don't know what Fat's up to. Is there like a fly on the screen or something?
Okay. I thought. Okay. What's okay?
Maybe Pat's muted us.
Oh, maybe.
No, because like he's got the microphone with the cross in it is on like his screen. So I was like, I thought he said something. I just couldn't hear him at all because obviously he's muted. But I was like Emmanuel's muted and he can hear us because he's chewing food. And obviously, obviously he doesn't want. I don't want. Obviously, you're smiling because you can hear. Yeah, there he is. Okay,
I was trying to figure out where the button was, and I kept clicking on the thing on my screen. I didn't realize it was at the bottom of the screen. What was the question you were asking?
No, because you said. Shit, I forgot what the question was now. Fuck.
It was about Jersey Boys.
Yeah, you could have done
Thank
a
you,
double bill of Jersey's Boys, is what Rob said.
I don't think that would ever come into my mind. Jersey Boys was good. I just much prefer Grease.
Okay, I mean, everyone has their own favorite musicals. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. So,
I wouldn't even class that as a musical so much. I more class that as like a bit more of a, well, I wouldn't even call it a musical.
Drama with musical music in it.
Might be. I don't know.
I mean, I would definitely call it a musical, mainly because when I was when I'm in Chinatown, I used to pass by that damn fucking like Jersey Boys musical on like a thing. I was like, it's fucking it's obviously a musical because the goddamn musical stage play is right there in the cinema, right there. Next to over there is like the Harry Potter, and over there is the Miz. It's right in the middle, right? Yeah, it's obviously. But yeah, because we've talked a lot about Danny now. We will actually have to talk about the Pink Ladies and their like roles in the movie because I feel like a lot of times they're like overshined and stuff because like apart from this, the only two main girls that are actually like points of the story is Rizzo and Frenchie. I like Frenchie more than Rizzo because I think she's a lot more entertaining to watch. I think Rizzo has that like no nonsense characteristic, but it's like because she's not like the other girls. but it's just like, I don't know, maybe I was like, I don't quite agree with it. Don't quite get it. But like for Frenchie, she's she's trying to be a girl living out in her world, but because of like she is a beauty school dropout with that weird scene, I was just like, it's fucking hilarious to me to see. I think her character, as we see her character, is a lot more entertaining than Rizzo's. But that's just my opinion.
I think Rizzo is a bit like a female Danny, and that I would like her to have a little bit more depth than she has, because she kind of gets characterized as being like a mean girl, but you never really get much more. And then you have like that whole thing where she's pregnant, and like, is it Kaneki that she's pregnant with?
Well, that's kind of the point, right? It's supposed to be Kaneki, but then afterwards she says she slept with someone else instead, so it's not his. But I don't know if she's saying that just to be mean to him.
That's the impression I got, to be fair. But like, I wouldn't have minded like a little bit more to like inform that whole thing, because it's literally just like she gets pregnant, Kaneki's like, what are we gonna do? And she's like, nothing, because it's not yours. And then the next scene she's like, oh yeah, false alarm, and they're both like, oh great. She's like, well, what?
I mean, like, like teenagers. No, actually, no. I can't even justify that. I was gonna say, yeah, but teenagers be like that. But I'm like, teenagers do be like that. But like, that's not a good thing at all. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't have minded like a little bit more. So I was going like, oh, okay, that's what that was building. It was just like, oh no, never mind. but yeah, I think like the scene where Rizzo first gets characterized as like somebody who's like a little bit mean was it's probably the scene which made me go like, what, the most? And it's like when Sandy's talking about meeting Danny in the holidays, and then they're like, what's his name? And then she's like, forename and surname. I'm like, you wouldn't say that. Like, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's written in a way where it's like, nobody talks like that.
Well, I mean, maybe they did talk like that, but it was in the 50s, so we don't talk like that anymore.
I don't know. Yeah. It
Also,
just,
you see no one
it doesn't really natural to me. But then neither does a car flying up, so that's obviously what they were going for.
Sorry, Manu, you said something. Oh.
You also see nothing.
Hmm?
You see someone's parents.
When you meet someone's parents, I don't know. I don't think that's quite true either, because like you could say you meet someone's parents and they ask you like that, but it's just like you wouldn't do it as.
I was making a joke in passing comment. Never see anyone's parents.
We don't see anyone's parents. I mean, yeah, it's true. I guess I feel like it's
or hear any voices of any parents. Like the way Sandy goes on makes it sound like she's from some like heavy controlling religious type background, but you never really hear from the parents. I feel like that would be quite an entertaining thing. But I was just making a comment. I was just like, oh yeah. When I was watching, I was like, I've never actually heard them.
I mean, like I doubt any of their parents are good parents. I don't think any parent would let their kids, drag race on like the river or on like underneath. I call it Thunder Road. I don't think anyone will let their kids drag race on the Thunder Road. I
feel like most of their parents didn't let them. That's the whole point. Also, I was expecting more cars, like a proper drag race with multiple cars, and then it's just 2 cars.
That's
like,
actually.
What's the rest of the cars?
When the
still all this up
and like went down the side of the other car, I was like, "Oh bloody hell, this is from Greece!" Because that's like one of those scenes that you see in everything.
See, that reminded me of Wacky Races a bit.
Yes, actually, yes, absolutely. Oh man, I miss watching American Races.
That
So
reminds
much
me,
super.
that scene that has to have been what they got when The Simpsons were Bart has his soapbox racing car,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
and when Nelson has his little car. Bart's car was called Little Lightning. What was Nelson's called? I can't remember, but he had the same lot of like spikes thing on the
Yeah.
wheel. Obviously, that's from Spartacus as well, and Ben-Hur, I should say. But it's so similar to the Grease one more than any of the others.
I must admit, I was quite impressed with that because they did quite well to make that bit look sort of, like it was
Real?
actually happening. Like considering they would have done it with just like practical effects at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fair enough. Like that took some coordination.
Yeah, I probably would like if the film was more serious and that race was probably a bit more of a danger to it, because I didn't feel there wasn't enough danger, and then the bits of danger were most exciting, and then it sort of ends, and then you go, oh, okay, that's fine then. But, yeah, I would have loved it to be more of a higher stakes.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's the age rating is not that like that. It's like a PG, I think, and like an early 50s PG. So it's like very, very tame.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, more like what happened to what's his name? Basically, they used to do those sort of like they play chicken on cars when they're racing on against another driver, which is like the first one to stop is the loser, and if they kept driving, they'd win. And there was they did that a lot back in the 50s, and there were a lot of serious deaths because of it, because the cars would not slow down even before coming traffic, or even the end of a cliff and stuff like that, which would be pretty serious way to go. So I would have loved to have seen something if it was like, you're going to do this in front of the end of the cliff, and that would have been a good climax for the movie if that was a sort of thing.
Oh shit! You've made me. You remind me of a fucking. Oh man, this is good. Go on a little bit of a tangent. I do apologize. The ending actually makes sense because someone says Danny actually died in the car race.
It could have been then. Yeah.
And it's like his like last moments in his brain before he flies into the sky, and he just is dead in his brain dead, because currently he's supposed to be like in a hospital dead. And dying.
More allusion to that, because then it would be more of an ambiguous ending, because that would make sense for the whole thing about him flying off into the air. But it's kind of like, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, but that's just depressing, man. Fucking hell. Yeah. It's supposed to be like a kids movie, and it's just like, oh, that's not nice.
I suppose it kind of explains why they didn't get him back for Grease 2.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the actor I was thinking of who died in real life was James Dean. He died in the same way. And he was only, 21, I think.
James Dean was 21 when he died?
Or maybe 27. He definitely in his 20s, as far as I remember.
Man, that shows you the difference in time as well, because he looks like 40 when you see him.
Yeah. But yeah, he did 3 or 4 movies. That was it.
Yeah, that's mad.
Wait, James Dean was in this?
Oh no, but he was a 50 star that I could imagine would have been in something like this if he was still alive. But he was in a film similar style. I think I can't remember what it's called.
You mean 70s, right?
This was made in 77?
78.
78, yeah.
Yeah, it's just both you and Simon said 50s.
But it's set in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Is this film not set in the 1950s? Because like Elvis has already like passed away during this time.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's set
in the 50s. But you said a 50s PG, and Ben said Dean was like making stuff in the 50s.
Yeah, he died in 1955. So I'm saying if he was still alive, he probably would have been in something like this.
Oh.
As maybe not the same character, but he was definitely inspired by the his life.
Ooh,
Overall,
I
that
get
part
what you mean.
was-
Yeah, sorry, I had missed what you said.
We kind of talked over at each other there, so that's my apologies.
Yeah, but yeah, sorry. I guess I should have clarified myself as well. But yeah, I guess that is the weird like Reddit fan theory of the clouds at the end because he's already dead, and that's just sad. But it's like no, we just gotta figure it's how it just like we just feel like he just had so much charisma and energy that he was able to channel lightning and make it fly around. That's about it. I don't know. It's like either way, it's a bit silly. But yeah, the characters and the story that development for each characters generally makes sense for most of this movie because of how the age is supposed to be portrayed. But unfortunately, that also leads up to one of the film having a person who's supposed to be a nonce, essentially. Because if you think about it, all of these people are supposed to be about 17, 18 maybe at most, but not quite 18 yet. They're about that, that high school age, yes? So we had the film host, Vince, who was flirting with that girl. I would like to say Mark. Hello. Okay, you good?
Hello. It's family. I was gonna mention Science family. I was gonna mention say I'm falling asleep, so I'm gonna get in bed but stay on the call and then I'll probably fall asleep. And if you don't hear me when you call my name, you know I won't say your name. When no one is around you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's Stormer.
Yeah, just to say you love me, it's okay.
Okay, but
I'm going to bed. I'm just not going to sleep. I just go to bed.
You're recording this,
Yeah.
not actually live streaming. Just cut that out. Cut that out. I think my mum's slightly drunk. I have relatives over, so I mean, I just
That's nice. You can say hey to your mom. It's nice to see her.
hey, okay. I'm gonna disappear if I don't come back within 10 minutes. Let's just say, no, that's
Just
fine.
pull it apart.
My favorites, but in any case, my favorite scene was beauty school dropout. Okay, I'll talk to you guys in a second.
That is a mic drop.
I should do favorite scene. What is my favorite scene? I have to do favorite scene before going to bed. Just go to bed like that. And that's not by choice. The body forces me. Favorite scenes. Actually, let me talk about annoying stuff. And she annoyed me when she kept trying to pierce Sandy's ear. I was just like, what's wrong with you? And Sandy was annoying me when she wouldn't stand up for herself and continually say no. And then I was worried about Sandy. I was like, in real life, someone this naive, and I'm worried something would happen. That's not good. And then, yeah, Rizzo making fun of her. Yes, when she first said Sandra, is it Sandra B? Okay. I actually wasn't sure she was talking about Sandy or someone else. That's famous. It took me, it's like, Yeah, it's Sandy. Okay, that's me. But, what Simon said, yeah, that whole guy was annoying me. I wanted someone to punch him.
Okay.
Yeah, do I have a favorite? I don't actually know if I could really pick a favorite.
You just loved it so much.
Camilla said I just loved it so much. No.
What about a favorite
This-
song?
You say favorite song?
Yeah.
Can't remember. It was you had. No, I think I remember it enough, but they were good, but it wasn't like I wasn't enjoying them as much. But like the last one, the song of the film was a good, but the 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 choreo and how all the thing was put was chaotic. I was just like, what is this? It literally sounded like they were just playing music, I guess. They're just playing some great song they made, but never really finished making like choreographing the theme. It just told people to mess around. I don't know. But that song itself was great. I guess that for the first major song was funny. The guys were like, they kept stuff. It kind of made me laugh. They looked funny. How to think? Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to pick a favorite with this one. It was kind of nice seeing them dance in the hall, though I had many problems with the whole sequence, that whole part of the film.
I know Pat's problem with that part of the film.
Oh, what?
Do you remember it, Pat?
What was that?
What your problem would be with the dance scene?
The end one?
No, the one with the really long dance scene where.
Oh yeah. Well, it tells you how long it had been since I'd seen it. So the last time I'd seen this film before this time, Man City were a Division 3 team. So obviously Blue Moon's been played quite a lot in the last sort of 15 years. And it's sort of becoming quite a trigger song for me. So as soon as that started playing, I think that came on as Rick said that Ray Wyatt died. So it was like, what the fuck?
Oh, man.
So like a lot of things was happening while I was watching the film, obviously. But yeah, I was like, I don't remember this being in it.
Yeah, I knew you wouldn't. As soon as it started playing, I was like, oh no. I was like, man, what are the chances that Pat's picked a film that was that contains his biggest issue with an American Werewolf in London?
Oh, really? That's funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's like it feels like every moment that was kind of like almost my favorite was just marred by something. I was just like, what's going on? What is this? Like, when it's iconic, of course, but so confusing. When Sandy shows up and she's looking, I guess, the way she thinks Danny would like her, and him vice versa. And I'm just like, wait, you had like basically no character development this whole film. And suddenly you just had a complete personality change. You ain't even talking the same. And you smoking. Wait, when did you stop being able to smoke without coughing? I am so confused. Wait, who gave you that? I mean, Frenchie could help with her. It makes sense she could do all that. But I was like, you could actually pull this off. You who I don't know. It did not make sense. like, like in theory it makes sense. But not even enough time had passed by for me to even consider this a possibility. I was just like saying that. Who knows how much time passed by? Wasn't only the next day. It was the same day. It was the same day even. Or next day. Either way, that was not enough time for her to metamorphose into some tough chick.
I mean, that's the thing, though, man. Like, that's why I struggle to know what the idea is, because it's literally like I'm fed up with being this person that I've been like this whole way through, so I'm just going to be this person. But I'm really uncomfortable with being this person, so I'm like, what's the point?
I feel like because this was a stage play before it was a movie.
How was it?
Yeah, I feel like they
Oh, it
must.
was.
I feel like they must have cut some stuff out.
Probably, yeah.
They must have cut some scenes out because I'm just like, there's things that don't quite make sense. But instead of like adapting it better to movie, it's like they just didn't bother like properly writing like linking filler scenes or whatnot, just so we understand what's going on. So we're just jumping around in time. Don't know exactly how much time has passed. It's just time. Yeah, it it just jumps around in any insequential way, just to move the story ahead. Now, I know you weren't expecting it, but yeah, we're now 2 months in the future. What? Oh yeah, Camilla made a good point. She was like, in the whole field, that whole school year, it was always summer.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah, it never got cold once. How is it? He said there was not a leaf that fell from the tree. It's like, oh man, I know that's suspension of belief. That's quite a big one. Oh man.
That's California for
And
you.
then wait. Huh?
That's California for you. It's at least 25 degrees the whole year round. I'm assuming.
If
it's
I think it is California, ain't it? I think they said it in the film at some point. I just can't remember. Doesn't matter. But there's just so many random things. Like, how did this school get picked? Like, with the kids they have, it cannot have a good reputation. I'm sorry. That teacher needs to have moved. I know it's not easy, especially back then. She needs to apply for some different school role, like somewhere. She needs to move. Like, she's going through it. And she cried at the end. I was thinking maybe she's crying for relief. Like she's finally getting rid of a lot of these kids.
Yeah.
Not Kaneki, but the rest of them at least are going for sure. Oh yeah, and then Kaneki. Sorry, I'm just saying all the stuff. The whole scene where the lady has this dirty penny. And then the way he acted, like Camilla's like, nah, she dropped an accident. It's like, I know she was meant to, but because of how she acted, it looked like she dropped it on purpose. And I was so confused in the middle of the season going, why did she just drop it on purpose? What is this to serve? And then he gets hit by the door. And I'm just like, wait, he got tapped by the door. And now he's almost unconscious. Wait, what? Oh, he is unconscious. Wait, this was some weird framed like acted out scene. None of this made sense in how it was done. Like it's like, I'm gonna drop this penny. Oh, I'm gonna go down and I'm out. What are you doing?
You do have a point.
Like there were many ways it could have been done. It's like the idea behind it makes like the idea makes sense. It was just done so poorly in those stages. I was so confused. I'm like, this is not meant to look staged, right? Oh gosh. Oh man, Camilla's like, I'm glad you enjoyed the film. Sorry. After all that, yeah, I don't think I actually have a favorite scene. But
Oh,
maybe if I have to pick one, actually, okay, I'll pick one. All right. It made me laugh because of just how ridiculous it was. I'm like, what's going on? When Frenchie is she's seeing what's the angel? What, I don't get that. Sorry, what was the angel think he meant to be? It's a guardian angel. Guardian angel. She sees her guardian angel. I liked her pink hair. Actually, I really liked her pink hair. But she sees her guardian angel. As Camilla was saying, I said, it's like he's basically saying you suck and you're ugly. Go back to school. Like this is not no guardian angel. She's having what was it? She's having spiraling thingy thoughts. What do you call it? She's having spiraling anxiety thingy thoughts. But what do they call in anxiety when you have like spiraling thoughts that it's rumination, but it's spiraling and gets you deeper and deeper into the negative thoughts. Okay. Well, but she's just having spiraling negative thoughts. She's like, yeah, this ain't no guardian angel. She's just having, I guess, trying not to have a meltdown or something. That's probably my favorite scene. It also made me imagine Tom Jones being in it.
Okay. Yeah, I see that actually. At first, I was like, "What?" But then I thought about it, and I was like, "Yeah."
It makes sense why he wouldn't be in this for multiple reasons, but I was like, it could be Tom Jones. Anyway, I think that might be my favorite scene. And
That's a good favorite scene to have. That's one of mine, I think. I think probably the end is my favorite. Like not the bit where they fly off, but like the final scene.
oh yeah,
It's just-
I forgot they fly off. That theory makes even more sense. Sorry, say one more thing. I agree with whoever said I prefer Frenchie to Rizzo. The saying I wish Rizzo had some more development or more just stuff like kind of or more proper writing for her because there was more to her, and as Miller was saying, she was a bit ahead of her time, but she was kind of just she did some stuff And he was developing. It was just like, oh yeah, no, not anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying something. Sorry. You were saying something, Rob.
Oh, I don't know now.
I'm sorry.
that's all right. Yeah, I have no idea what I was saying now.
What was it in relation to my favorite scene?
Oh yeah. I was just saying that. I think quite a few could be mine because it's like, yeah, the end where they're doing like the final song where they're all together. It's like, oh, that's nice. I really like the opening sequence, like with the cartoons. I think that's really cool. But I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where, like, if you pick an opening sequence for a favorite scene, it kind of like it's sort of damning it with faint praise, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Well, if you're all right with it, then I'll pick that then.
But yeah, I thought that sort of. But the thing is, you would have to point it out as well because the opening scene is actually Danny and Sandy on the beach, isn't it? And
Yeah,
then
that's definitely not my favorite scene.
Yeah. No, like the animation was done really well. Like I can totally see why it'd be someone's favorite scene.
I think it's like it's kind of like an experience thing. It's a little bit like the opening credits for Reanimator, where it's like, I don't know. I have a bit of a soft spot for opening credits that are just like really long and drawn out, and I think it's like it kind of replaces what a shit. What's the name of the piece of music that they used to play before films?
The thing we saw with Oppenheimer.
Yeah, similar to that.
Oh, you mean proper like someone on
Like an intro, isn't it?
Yeah, I know what you mean now. But for every performance, or just it was like one of like 10
Overture. Yeah, overture. It's kind of like it sort of like replaces like the purpose of an overture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like setting like your mood and your expectations for it. And I think the opening credits for this does that very well.
I mean, I can totally see where you're coming from for it. I know it's something that's completely different, but like when I was growing up watching Dragon Ball Z, that used to have like a really good intro.
I didn't expect it.
that was something that I still miss from it because like I've got the Blu-ray sets and it's got some sort of weirder, shitter intro now. But I used to love the intro that we got in the 90s. So saying that like you love the intro, I don't think it's as weird as you thought at first.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, if you've got nearly 2 hours of film and you're picking like the first little bit that's not even really part of the film as your favorite scene, like I don't know, it feels a little bit insulting. I don't mean it that way.
I want to try and find the intros and put it in the group.
But yeah, I do really like it. I think it's almost like it's kind of like a soapy style thing as well in itself, really, isn't it? Like I'm not surprised that this is the film that they gave to Olivia Newton-John as like a vehicle kind of thing. Speaking of which, actually, there's a little bit of film club trivia wrapped up in this week, because when Brian De Palma made Blowout, the studio tried to force Olivia Newton-John on him, and he was like, "No, this isn't a Grease reunion."
Oh, fuck. Oh, Manuel would have hated Grease then if I mean, Blowout even hated it even more.
What? What I do?
Oh, it's about a connection from Grease to Blowout, which would have blown it all out of proportion.
I have to say, I think I had a better time with this than Blowout.
I think you were supposed to be fair.
What?
I said I think you were supposed to have a better time with this than Blowout, to be fair.
Yeah. I wonder how it would be if I actually like, even though it's, I wouldn't want to watch the musical now with the cast you said with the guy you said in it, but I wonder if I have a better time with the actual musical on stage.
Maybe we can make it Good Brothers Musical Club for a week in the future.
Oh, God.
Oh man, I feel like there's a few people who might not like that. Have I picked a musical?
No, I don't think you have yet. We've only had a few, haven't we? We've had this, Tick Tick Boom, The Greatest Showman. I think that might
All
be it.
three I've really enjoyed. Oh, and the Rocky Horror
Oh
shit
yeah,
show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh man, I feel
Yeah, is that the only four?
I think that's 4. I can't think.
You threatened to pick a musical because
Oh, just
you said
Pinocchio counts.
oh yeah, Pinocchio as well, sort of. Yeah, yeah. But no, you said you might pick a musical because you was talking about picking the Takashi Miike version of The Quiet Family,
who?
the Japanese remake of The Quiet Family.
Oh, what were you gonna pick that?
No, I thought you said you might pick it.
Yeah, maybe you were drunk.
Oh no, I said I'd never pick that film.
Oh, I took the complete opposite from it.
I said I recommended people watch it on their own time, but I said I'm not picking that film. It's kind of too out there.
It's the Loud Family.
Don't get me wrong, it's a funny film. It's just I feel like there'll be people here who would be like, "Oh, this is great." I feel like you would have a great time, Rob. I feel like not many people would though. I feel like Simon would be like, "Oh, this is a fun acid trip." And then everyone else is just like,
And speaking of which,
yeah,
Simon's back.
Hey.
Wait, what? Oh, all right, sorry. Wait, what? I heard acid trip. What's up?
The Japanese remake of the Korean Tale of the Katakura's. Sorry. The Japanese remake 1 year later of The Quiet Family, the Korean film, the dark comedy, but they remade it into a dark comedy musical.
Oh, okay, I haven't heard that. I thought you were talking about
the
like-
Tale of the Katakura's.
not a clue, mate. I thought you were talking about like the live action version of One Piece for a second, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I haven't drank. Okay, no, I have drank a little bit, but like it's like, yeah, I thought you were talking about One Piece for a second. I was like, "Oh no, you're talking about the live action."
I mean,
One
I want
Piece.
to watch the TV series, see what it's like.
I mean, it looks okay, but once he said, "I'm king of the pirates," but he said it really badly, and I was like, it's terrible shit. So, but in any case, sorry. Do you guys do favorite scenes yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of like circling around favorite scenes.
Okay.
Daniel's done his.
But okay, I think I did like mention beforehand, before I quickly had to nip out. Yeah, it is still a beauty school dropout because it's such a. Everything else is kind of within the movie, and with this one, it's just within her head with Frenchie because she's got that pink hair because of like a dye problem that she messed up, and I was just like, man, this is a fever dream. But that's cool. That's cool. I kind of like fever dreams in these sort of like movies. It's just like. On those like between like or any of the like I don't know if any of the other T-Birds, we don't see like a scene with Sonny and his family with the salami shop or something. I don't know. It's like all the other characters aren't as well emphasized on like these like 3 to 4 main characters. So that's quite cool to see. Yeah, that's kind of my favorite scene because it was just very memorable.
I do kind of wish that it like lent a little bit more into that kind of stuff, because like you get the beauty school dropout scene and then like when they fly off at the end, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wanted a bit more absurdity.
I mean, is there like an extended cut version of this film?
Not that I know.
Okay,
No.
then I was gonna say, because like if there was, and I mean it might like added more to the film, but I feel like during that time there was never like unedited or like uncut versions of films during the 70s, 50s time.
And there's a few, to be fair, but I think like for a film like Grease, it's less likely because it's such a commercial release.
Okay.
Yeah, something I said after you which basically I had the same favorite scene. I was laughing a lot, but I was basically saying just how part of what I forgot to mention was just how it was to me. I was just like, who is this guy? Why suddenly this random guy pops out of nowhere? What's going on? Like, this is Guardian Angel. So, what Guardian Angel? It's just her having spiraling negative thoughts. She's ugly. You suck. Go back to school. I was just like, man, what a scene.
Man, kind of. I think that's a good Guardian Angel. It's like, yeah, you think you'll be a looker, but the only people you get are just hookers, and it's just like, you know, it's funny, and it's like it gives like emphasis of like, you fucked up, but go to school.
But that's one
You don't
of the rudest
So it's
ways
like, you
to
know,
say back to school. Like, yeah, you'll be a hooker.
well, I mean, it got. I mean, in all seriousness, if your Guardian Angel has to come to you in a weird, drugged up dream sequence to go, wake up, go back to school, then I mean, it makes sense.
No, grab it, really makeup. How do I do this makeup?
What?
It's the System of a Down reference.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I feel like your mic was muted. But like, it's
Don't worry. Anyway, Ben. Wait, it's Rob. Yeah, Ben and Rob and Pat know what I'm talking about.
Why is there an odd silence?
I think Simon's either trying to hold in a sneeze or he's lagged out. There we go.
My old friend.
Man, I thought it was the whiskey. I think my speech is a bit slurred, but also my Wi-Fi is a bit.
The timing of your outside man is great, but yeah, you might need to keep.
So if I get, let me just keep my picture like this. So if it happens,
Simon's having one all drop out.
Yeah, someone's being the Alec of this week.
still.
Oh my! But Simon, cut off your video. It'll help.
Too late.
Okay.
Oh, that looks really dodgy now.
Keep your video off. It'll help, Simon.
Yeah. Show us the D.
Wait, can you hear me at least?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
But like, Okay, actually, yeah, I think actually that does help. But in any case, yeah, it's all the same sort of things. It's like she messed up in her beauty school stuff, but afterwards she went back to school to sort it out, and it's fine. And afterwards she's with the gang again, and like, oh yeah, it comes full circle. It's all good and happy and good. Yeah. So yeah.
His favourite scenes next.
I should say that I'm trying to think. Obviously, the drag race is probably my most favorite parts. But I did like all the bits with the teachers because, like I was saying earlier, there's not many adults in this film, but I did like what was it? Was it the principal and the lady with the bell? Every time that she was making an announcement on the intercom, she'd be like, boom, boom, boom. And then as it goes on, she goes a bit more adventurous and makes a little jingle and just keeps going at it. That's little moments like that were quite funny.
Yeah, I like that.
The scene in the car where I can't remember the character's name, sorry, but the two of them are making out, and he pulls out, I think it is a condom, right? And he goes, "Yeah, I bought this of a friend in this in like his 7th grade," and then he realizes it's sort of like falling apart or something, and he's like, "Oh crap!" But they continue anyway. But I just thought that was a nice little bit of comedy there.
Probably worked for Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, all right. Yes, they do. Yeah, the comedy in a lot of it did work quite a bit. I think it suited the time and it suits the themes and all that. So yeah, the humorous parts are my favourite. And the scene where they're in the was it Olivia Newton-John's bedroom, or the scene where she gets her ears pierced and you get the more character work with all her friends just trying their best to be the normal teenagers. But yeah, that was an amusing scene. And the intro, like you mentioned, the animated segment, a ritual fanfare was great. I loved the style of that, and I did like the ending final fight, the final dance where we see her in that new get up. And
did you ever watch, or did anyone ever watch Grease 2?
No, I did not see Grease.
Because I wonder like if they actually developed on any of that stuff. Because I know Sandy and Danny are in it, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wondered if they actually went anywhere.
Did they recast anyone, or was it completely new characters?
I thought it was like a completely new set of characters.
Right.
No, I think everyone except Sandy and Danny are in it.
Oh, really?
I might be wrong, to be fair. I know a few of them are in it, though.
I'll have to get around to watching it. So I guess it's like my favourite scenes then.
Yeah, go.
It would be so easy for me to say the end sequence because I have so much fun watching that. It's between the two songs as well, up until I realised they took flight in a bloody muscle car. In Vin Diesel's dream, innit? One of my favourite scenes was probably the most traumatic scene for me during the rehearsals was Grease Lightning. The way they sort of set that up, I had a big smile on my face watching it, just remembering the stuff that we were doing in school for it. So that was like a real personal scene for me. The other one that's become one of my favourite scenes because of a certain Pulp Fiction meme.
Oh, right.
Right near the. It's quite early in the film, and I forgot how early that was. I thought it was like much later, but it's obviously where they're sort of singing about their summer romance, and then it's like, does Does he look like a bitch?
Uh-huh.
That scene there, obviously that meme isn't in the film, obviously, but you know, it still lives on. But that scene in general is pretty fun too, so I quite like that one. It's just a lot of scenes I really like. But yeah, them two and then the end sequence are probably the ones I probably remember the most.
Right. Yeah.
Little wussy's crying because he can't go on the grass. He's crying. He's not going on the grass.
That's Frank if you want.
He's crying out there.
I assumed it's Frank. Oh, it's Alex trying to get in.
I don't want the grass.
Hello, Alec.
He's not here this week.
Hey?
He's the only one who's not here this week.
Oh, he's gone to sleep.
No, he's in Durham.
He's where?
In Durham.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh. Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, this has hit a bit of a roadblock.
Yeah, I get the Manuel's asleep and Simon's like passed out.
It does seem that way.
I think we better stop it here then.
Well, we covered everything. Did Rob announced his film yet?
I haven't yet, no.
So, any end thoughts?
Good pick, even though the story made no sense.
See, I could going back on the story, I think it didn't bother me so much because I was able to sort of piece it together. It's probably something I like to do a lot more. So, like, where sometimes you have an issue with the story in terms of things not making sense, in my head, I piece it together to make it make sense. And that's how I tend to watch films.
If it works for you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's designed so that you can just sort of like switch off, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there's a place for that kind of thing. So, yeah. I don't necessarily think it needed to be anything other than what it was, but I was also like, this is what it was.
It's the critic in you, isn't it?
What's that?
It's just the critic in you.
Maybe something like that. I don't know.
It good.
It definitely a good time.
Yeah. If not a long time, very good time. So, Robert, what is your film?
Well, Emmanuel, Simon, are you guys there? Oh, it doesn't look like it. I'll say what it is, and then if they hear, then that's good. But if not, then I'll paste it in the group.
Yeah.
So my pick is another tribute pick, and there's a little bit of film club history because it's the first time that I'm going to pick a second film by a director whose film I've already picked. So the film that I'm picking this week is a little tribute to William Friedkin, and it's a film that he did after The Exorcist, and my pick is Sorcerer.
Sweet.
Not the last Sorcerer.
Definitely not the last Sorcerer.
Yeah, it's not Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, the Sorcerer.
That was the one I was thinking of, actually.
If the film you're thinking of has magic in it, it's not that one.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was it called?
So it's not Harry Potter.
It's definitely not Harry Potter.
It's not Sorcerer's Stone. No, is it because of the name of the truck is Sorcerer? I can't remember.
It is, yeah. So
Oh, is it another truck film?
Yeah,
it is another truck.
Another slut truck.
So that's the thing, right? So one of the truck's names is Sorcerer, but I think the reason it's called Sorcerer is probably because the studio were like, oh, this is the guy who did The Exorcist, so let's trick everyone into thinking he's doing another horror. And it's not a horror film at all.
Oh, yeah, that's silly. It's like if you know the original film, I think the original film had the perfect title. They could have just used again.
Yeah,
Wages of Fear.
yeah. So that was going to be the title. But then, to be fair, it kind of works out that it wasn't the title, because the only reason that William Friedkin got the rights to the book to make the film was because he pitched it as a readaptation rather than a remake of the original.
That's good. Less to compare the two because it's standard. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not against it having a different title, but yeah, I think it is the case of the studio just being like a bit like what they did with M. Night Shyamalan and Unbreakable, where they were like, let's market it as a horror film because this guy's known as a horror director.
Now known as a shit director.
Oh, yeah.
nice.
I'll make my paste.
Well, what time are we going to meet at tomorrow?
What time do you want to meet? I can be there as early as you want.
I might leave here at 1.
Yeah, sweet.
It's like doors apparently open at 3.
Oh, they open at 3?
Yeah, because the pre-show's at 5 and then the main show starts at 6.
Right.
I think it's because of the local restrictions on noise.
Yeah. If doors are at 3, you might want to meet a bit earlier then, because there's going to be quite a queue getting in, isn't it?
Not necessarily, because there'll be loads of people outside, isn't it?
Yeah, what?
There's going to be loads of people outside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, where are you guys going?
Huh?
Where are you guys going?
Wembley.
We're at the wrestling tomorrow.
Oh,
I mean, doors will be open at 3, but I can't imagine everyone wanting to go into the stadium that early, because that's like 2 hours of waiting around.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because it's because if it's like, what do you call it? Was the big stadium show recently where they had to postpone it because of people getting in?
I know there was a delay at the Emirates because they operated a new system.
Yeah, no, there's something, but there was a big wrestling show recently. I can't remember what it was now.
What time do you want to meet at?
Well, if we meet at Beacon Tree, do you want to try and meet at Beacon Tree for one?
Can do, yeah.
Yeah, if that works for you, then
yeah, I'll probably leave at about 12.
And then we should get there before doors.
Yeah, can do.
all right. Have you guys actually finished talking about Grease?
Yeah, he's already announced his film as well.
Well, because he's still recording, that's the reason.
Oh yeah, I usually just leave it until I've like ended the meeting.
What? Okay, sorry. What was it that you think?
What was what?
What was it that you chose?
So my pick is a historic first for Film Club, because it's the first time I've picked 2 films by the same director, and the director is William Friedkin. And the first film I picked of his was The Exorcist, and the second film that I'm picking of his is Sorcerer.
Wait, what? Sorcerer?
Yeah.
It's funny you say the first time it's the second film by the same director. I've picked 3 James Cameron films this year.
Oh yeah, you have, yeah.
and I've done what, 2 Nolan films?
Yeah, you've done 2 Nolans, 3 Camerons. Is there any more?
Wait, let me just double check for you though. It's 1977?
Yeah, that's the one. Came out on the same day as Star Wars.
Let's have a look. My picks.
What is this? Okay, I've never. Weird. This is okay. I feel like I kind of have an idea for what I would choose for this round now.
Oh, really?
By these.
So far, we've had 2 films about cars. 2 films named after cars as well.
I could go for. No, I have an idea for what I want to choose this round now. Okay.
Cars.
Cars, just cars. Yeah. No, I'm gonna choose.
I hope it is now.
The Spielberg film Duel. No.
Oh, we've already had that.
Yeah, I know. That's the joke. Okay. Cars. Yeah. I could actually choose Fast and Furious, but that would be fucking hilarious.
That would be a good call, I reckon.
I think it'll piss Alec off to no ends.
I
picked 2 Spielberg films. Sorry.
Oh, you've done 2 Spielbergs?
Yeah, I have E.T. and Jaws.
Oh yeah, I forgot you did Jaws as well.
I've got quite a few buttons and more coming soon as well. But yeah.
Yeah, you've got 2 at the moment, I think, in you. And I think 2 more scheduled. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I should choose a animated film because I haven't done one yet. And being a sort of weepy person, do I choose an anime film or just an animated film? Oh, that's just a question.
You should do an animated film because it's been like a year now, man.
But do I want an anime film or just an animated film? I don't want to choose a. Do I want to choose a Ghibli? No, I don't want to choose a Ghibli because we just did one just a couple rounds ago. So it's like, I don't know. I'll think about it later because I'm like, wait, when am I like second to last? Because I think Alec was last, right?
You might be right, yeah.
No,
So
John's
that would
technically last if he comes back.
Well, I mean, I love John, right? But like sometimes he does not appear because he feels unwell, which is not his fault because sometimes he just can't, right? But it's a question of like so it's like plan around him. And if he can't do it, it's fine. If he can do it, that's fucking amazing. That'd be great. But if you can't do it, it doesn't matter. So it's just like, wait a second. So Rob is next week, which is because it's Halloween soon, right? So I'm just trying to plan around that. Is it going to be like one of those situations like, okay, Rob is the 3rd. I mean, Emmanuel is the 10th. Ben is the 17th. I'm on the 24th. Okay, so not Halloween yet. Okay, cool. Woo.
Who's got the Halloween pick? Alec?
No, I think it's Ben, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so because mine is. I'm planning on that scary one.
He's picking Halloween 2. Yeah. But which Halloween 2? We don't know. Because they're all Halloween 2. Oh.
It's the Rob Zombie one.
Oh God.
If you did a double bill of my movie is Halloween 2 with Halloween 2, that would have been like the ultimate double bill in its own way. I think that one, I'll probably just give you praise for that. That would have been amazing.
You can even do a triple bill of Halloween 2s now.
Oh, fuck, you're right, aren't you? Fuck.
And they keep getting worse.
All right. I think. Yeah, okay. Fuck it. I'm like, I had relatives come around for like 3-day weekend, and I didn't really know that they'll be staying. I guess is the point. That's why Mum is getting drunk. So okay, I'm gonna log off for now. Okay, but Sorcerer, yeah.
Yeah.
On on Amazon. I can watch it on Amazon.
I'm
All
glad
right.
you said that because I just realised I hadn't checked if it was streaming or not.
I probably won't get to see it until like the last minute.
So
No.
don't screw it until
Because obviously tomorrow we're going to be at Wembley. Monday I'm going to be at Rick's for a little while, and then I've got to sleep early. Then Tuesday to Friday I'm going to be holidaying.
Oh, nice, man.
So probably Friday evening or Saturday early in the day I'll be doing it.
So
Nice.
hopefully you'll like it.
I'm hoping I do.
Right. Oh, in any case, I'll log off for now. I'll see you guys. See you next time. Yeah.
So
Yeah, see you later, man.
See you guys in a bit.
Yeah, so
See
guys,
ya.
I'm off to.
See you later. Oh, how do I?